Okay, so we're going to learn a little bit about micro and macroeconomics in this unit. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to go through and talk about a few things today and show you what resources we're going to use for this and how this is going to work. We're going to create tomorrow's worksheet today together because I think that's going to be easier for us to do than what I had planned. Okay, so let me share my screen so the kiddos at the house can see what we're doing. Okay, throw me up here. You can still see me in the corner. So, okay. So if you guys look, you'll have Animal Science Standard 2 Part 1. That'll start popping up for you guys. All these red things you won't see yet. Okay, these are things that we're going to do later in the unit. But you did the pre-test yesterday, right? So today we're going to look at this micro and macroeconomics slideshow, and we're going to talk about those principles. If you click on it, you can click on the link below, and it will open up your a PDF with these slides in it. So this whole unit is basically on macro and microeconomics and the principles of those things. So we know that micro means what? Small, tiny, right? So these are economics on a small scale. We know macro means what? So macro is the opposite of micro. So macro means large. Okay, or mac means large. Micro and macro, right? So micro means little, macro means large. So if you see those on other words, those as prefixes for other words, you'll know that that's what those mean. So the very first one we're going to talk about is the microeconomics, and we're going to go over that definition for just a minute here. It says that it's the study of human behavior and choices as they relate to the relative small units, like individual, household, firm, industry, and single markets. That means it's all the things that have to do with financial planning, money, on a small scale. So if you're doing a budget at home, if you're planning out if you're planning your grocery budget for the week, or you're planning to go to the football game on Friday and you know that you've got $20 to spend this week and you want to go to that game and you know you need $5 for that game and you want $1 pickle at that game, then you know you have $6. And all of that kind of stuff still falls into microeconomics, okay? If you are an individual firm, which means you are a company, you're an individual company, all the things that you do within your company are still considered microeconomics. They're on an individual level, one industry, one firm, one single market. So if that is micro, if micro means individual or small scale, right? Which even goes up to Walmart. Walmart's not considered macroeconomics on their own. If you looked at Walmart's financial stuff by themselves, right, it would not be considered macroeconomics because it's one unit, right? So anything that has to do with human behavior and the choices that they make relating to financial stuff on a small scale, individual, households, firms, industries, or single markets. Firm just means a company, okay? Do we get that so far? Everyone's looking at me pretty good. We're good. Okay. Guys at the house, I hope you've got that. Small scale, individual, okay? Which means macro is on a much larger scale, right? Like a national level, but we're going to get to that. So we're going to talk next about an agricultural commodity. We already know what agriculture is. That's the study of food and fiber. So commodities are things that we get from that. So a farm or ranch product that resembles a similar product from other farmers or ranchers, and it's not so distinguishable. So if you're growing corn and you're growing corn, can I tell the difference in your corn? Probably not, right? Okay, it's a commodity. So what happens is people buy commodities. I'm not going to go down to the market and buy this particular corn. I can go and I can order 300 tons of corn and I'm not concerned about each different grain, right? That makes it a commodity. Rice from one farm cannot be distinguished from rice from another farm. It's just rice. Now, there are differences in your strands of rice and corn and those types of things in those commodities. I can order 300 tons of jasmine rice, or I can order 300 tons of long grain rice, but it doesn't make a difference who grew the rice. We still got rice. We still got the jasmine rice, we still got the long grain rice. It doesn't matter who made it. So that makes it a commodity. And those are the things that go into the food that you understand eating, like Rice Krispie treats, for instance. Okay, do you know where the rice that goes in those Rice Krispie treats comes from? No, right? You don't know which farmer grew that. So that makes that the rice that goes into that a commodity. But are Rice Krispie treats a commodity? No, right? Because you can definitely tell who made the Rice Krispie treat. Okay, it's labeled on the package, number one. And number two, does the Rice Krispie treat that your mom make taste different than the Rice Krispie treat that your mom makes? They do, right? They just taste differently. If you were both growing rice, would you really notice a difference? Probably not, but you do on that. That's the difference in commodities, whether or not you can tell the difference and that it was grown on a farm. Farm or ranch products that resemble each other. Okay, so that is what a commodity is. That's what we are dealing with in most of this stuff. We're dealing with all the different types of things that we do. We're working with ag commodities. Just a little trivia, because some of you have already had the first year of ag. What commodity does Arkansas produce the most of? Do we know? Rice, look at there. Star people, bonus points. I'm just kidding, I'm excited though. Okay, rice, yeah. Well, Arkansas actually does have, I am not kidding, I will give you like 2 extra bonus points. How's that sound? For knowing that, good job. Arkansas actually is the primary exporter in America for rice. We have more rice grown here than any other state in America. Isn't that really cool? Now, do you know what part of the state the most of the rice is grown in? You don't know where it's grown at, do you? Where? No, go to the other side of the state. Fayetteville over there is full of hills and stuff. It's really hard to have a rice field. But the eastern side of our state, that river valley up through there, is full of flat land. It has all that river running through there to irrigate the field. So all of our rice, we have rice grown here in the Garland area, but we have a lot of rice grown on the eastern side of our state. So we're going to deal a lot with rice. Okay, so let's talk just a few minutes about a couple things that play into, and this is pretty much all we're going to talk today about is supply and demand. So we've learned what microeconomics are, what an ag commodity is, and then we're going to talk about what supply and demand are. So supply is the amount of product available for sale in a marketplace. If I came in here and this was a marketplace and I had 12 tacos, there would be a supply of how many tacos? 12, right? Because in this marketplace, there would only be 12 tacos. How many tacos would be for sale in the marketplace of hope? A lot, right? A lot more tacos. So could I charge more for tacos that you bought right here than I could tacos bought, say, anywhere else in Hope? Because how many tacos are here? There's only so many tacos. Are you willing to pay for them to get them from somebody else? If there are 500 tacos in this room, would you be willing to pay for a taco? Or would you be like, come on now, you got 500 tacos, I'll give you like 5 cents for a taco. But if there was one taco and there's 12 people in here and you're really hungry, you pay $5 for that taco, right? So that is the basics of supply and demand. So supply just means how many things are in that marketplace. And that marketplace could be as small as a classroom, which we're not supposed to sell things in a classroom, I'm not saying that, but it could be as small as a classroom, or it can be as large as the world, right? Internet purchasing, the internet has made us have a global market these days. Used to, if you were trying to sell bows for your daughter, like my daughter loves bows, right? If I was trying to sell bows, the only place I could really sell bows would be like the market downtown, right? Because I couldn't get my bows out anywhere. But now people in Taiwan can buy my bows. So there is a global market for bows because I can put them on the internet and you can buy a bow from anywhere in the world. And the only thing really affecting the price other than supply and demand would be like tariffs, which are like taxes from other countries and shipping, right? So we're going to get into all those things. I don't want to overwhelm you guys. But so things that affect supply, we said supply was amount of product in one marketplace. The things that affect supply are the price of that particular product, the prices of other products, the quantity available, the environment, and consumer wants, right? So let's talk about each one of those for just a second. The price of that product, right? The cost that it makes to make that product. If a product costs me about 5 cents to make, can I make a bunch of that product? Okay. If a product cost me $700 to make, I can make significantly less product, right? So that's just going to limit the amount of product in the area. Prices of other products, we're going to get into that later on. That'll be complementary and supplementary goods. But let's talk about, for instance, a ham sandwich. Okay, I'm making ham sandwiches. And it's pretty cheap to make a ham sandwich, right? But for some reason or another, now ham has gone up to like $5 a pound. Is that going to limit the number of ham sandwiches I can make? Okay, so the price of ham affected the price of the ham sandwich. Okay? Quantity available. Back to ham sandwiches. If I'm making ham sandwiches and I can only buy 2 pounds of ham because there's a ham shortage, that's going to affect how many ham sandwiches are in the market. Okay, the environment. That's one more thing you got to think about. For instance, if I'm a ham sandwich maker and we just had a huge hurricane, right? Am I going to be able to get those sandwiches to a market? Am I going to be able to buy the ingredients for those sandwiches? No. So that's going to affect how many ham sandwiches are in my market. And consumer wants. Okay. If I know that you guys don't really like ham, am I going to make 15 ham sandwiches to bring to this market? No. So that's going to affect the supply of ham sandwiches in this market. So do you guys understand about supply? Supply is how much you have. These are the reasons why that changes. There is a supply curve, guys. We're going to look at a chart, a graph, and it's going to look like this right here. Okay, this is one half of that graph. This graph is going to be used to tell you how much to charge for something. Have you guys ever wondered how much you're supposed to charge for something? Like if you were making something and you're like, how do they decide what to make your Jordans cost that you're wearing, right? How do they figure that out? Do they just pull a random number out of the sky? No, they do not. They have to understand supply and demand to decide how much to charge for your Nike hoodie. Okay? And you're seeing this right now you've been seeing this for a while with our mask, for instance. How do you think they come up with what to charge for a mask? The same way, okay? If you bought the mask that you're wearing right now 2 years ago, you could have bought an entire box for like $2. Because the supply and the demand were different than they are now. And so we're going to watch that. But this is how that curve works. So we're going to talk about just the supply curve for a second, okay? It is upward sloping. And as price increases, production increases. So see price on this side. Can y'all see that? I don't know if you can see that real well. Let me see if I can zoom in. Okay. Price is on this side. Quantity is on this side. And so the supply curve slopes up. Okay, so as the number of things that you make goes up, you'll see that the cost to make those things goes up too, right? It goes up on the price side. So that is supply. So when I ask you if supply is upward or downward sloping, you know that the supply curve is what? Upward sloping, right? Because you start in the corner and you go up. Okay. This is going to be important because you're going to get to demand in a minute and you're going to see the demand looks different. And you have to remember which curve is the supply curve and which curve is the demand curve. Got me? Okay. So demand, let's talk about demand. How much do we want something? So demand is the amount of product that will be bought at a given time. And so I said, how much do we want? But it's got a little more factors than what do we want. Because every person in here probably wants the brand new, either iPhone or the brand new Galaxy, right? But are you going to buy them? Maybe not. So the demand is the amount of product that will be bought at a given price. Okay. So how much are you going to pay for something? How many of those things are you going to buy? That's what demand is. Okay. My demand for Slim Jims is high. I eat a lot of I buy a lot of Slim Jims. But there are things that would affect whether or not I bought Slim Jims. The first one would be the price of that product. If a Slim Jim cost me $1 at the Dollar Tree, I might buy 7 Slim Jims a week, right? Spend $7 on Slim Jims or Jack Wild or whatever the beef sticks are that I buy. Okay? If the Dollar Tree no longer carried those and the only place I could buy them was, say, Walmart, right? And now they don't cost $1. Let's say they cost $5. Is that going to change how many beef sticks I buy? Okay, so price of a product changes the demand for that product. And it is probably the largest one that affects us. I mean, if price goes up, it can really affect whether or not you buy something. Okay. Price of similar products. So let's say that my beef stick does cost me $1. Okay. But now suddenly there's another brand of beef stick that costs 75 cents. Am I going to probably purchase that one? Yeah, okay. Well, let's say that I like beef sticks, but I equally just as much like cheese sticks, okay? And the price of cheese sticks goes way, way down. Am I going to start buying cheese sticks instead of beef sticks? Yeah, I mean, I like them about the same, and this one's a whole lot cheaper. So that can affect that. Consumer wants. What if, I mean, you got to think about that too, because if the consumers are all eating beef sticks and they love beef sticks, and a health report comes out and it says, hey, beef sticks cause cancer, what's going to happen to the demand for beef sticks? Right? Because we no longer want beef sticks. Like, we just don't. Like, they cause cancer. Why in the world would I want beef sticks? So now the consumer want has changed. And we've seen this with eggs over the years. We have watched the demand for eggs go up and down because of different health reports. I don't know if you guys remember, but years ago, eggs were listed as, in like the doctors put out a thing saying that eggs carried cholesterol, bad cholesterol, and eating eggs would raise your cholesterol. And it was a huge thing about eggs. And so we saw the demand for eggs just drop off. Like, people quit eating eggs. Like, it was a whole thing. Well, after a while, they have another report that came out and said, no, they have cholesterol, but it's pretty good cholesterol for you. It's going to be okay to eat eggs. And people said, oh, okay, well, then the demand for eggs came back up. And so just consumer wants changed the demand for eggs. And of course, available supply. Right? If something is just not in supply, it really doesn't make a difference. The demands, it's going to shift demand. But if there's nothing there to purchase, there can't really be much of a demand. Does that make sense? Okay. But it can go the other way too, because if there is very, 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 very little supply of something, what happens to the demand for that product? It can be really high, right? There can be a high demand for that product and a low supply for that product. And you know that's going to end up with the price going up, massively up. Okay. Oh, all right. So here's that second curve I was telling you about, the demand curve. You'll notice the supply curve went like this, right? Choop, 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 choop. So what does the demand curve do? It goes down. It's downward sloping. So supply is upward sloping, demand is downward sloping. And as the price decreases, the quantity of purchased items increases. So now when you look at these put together, you're going to see that they roll like this. So I'm going to show you a short video real quick on supply and demand. Okay. So, whoop, I thought I was going to play. I may have to do it this way. My link's not working. This is the right one. Okay.
Let's start by talking about something that most people take for granted.
Is it grocery stores? Is it the Scentsy?
Guys, that is not the right one. So I will post the right one. I don't want to go shopping through YouTube and find the wrong thing. I'll post the supply and demand video for you guys, so you can watch it a little bit later. But it's just a short snapshot of how supply and demand works with animation. And sometimes I think that that's helpful for you guys to see it in a shorter, condensed, animated version. So I will get that link working, and I'll post it for you. But that is all we're going to talk about today, is supply and demand. We're not even going to talk about how they roll together. I just want you today to just wrap your mind around what supply is and what demand is. And so I'm going to post a little worksheet on supply and demand and the curves. So that is what you're going to do today and tomorrow. Are you excited? I hope so. Economics can be really fun. Okay, so let me stop sharing. Hope you guys at home are having an awesome day.